Hey guys, great to have you on board for another episode of Nitro Nights. This is episode 14, where we get into the nitty-gritty of everything related to esports racing. And in every single episode we have a brand new guest for you. Today is no different. We are welcoming Max Benecke to the show. So excited about this, to get him on to talk about sim racing into the fine details. That's on the way. Before we get to that though, two things. Need to remind you to subscribe to the show and the channel, and also follow us on Twitter if you're not already doing so. And then secondly, we get to talk about this bad boy. This is my brand new Nitro Nights hat. I would be wearing it the other way around normally, but the team behind the scenes said, don't do that. You look silly. So this is the way I'm wearing it today. Now, a guy that makes me look very unsilly is a guy who's the producer, editor. He's Yannic Hauske. He's joining me for the Newsflash. Great to have you back, Yannic. How are you doing?
So I will, of course, have to still undertake the massive task of making you look good on stream, but I'll do my best.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Listen, I'm excited to get our guest on, but before that, loads was happening this weekend. Where should we start, Yannic?
Let's go to America first. Let's start with INDYCAR.
Oh, great choice. This was taking place on iRacing. It's the iRacing Challenge, Round 6, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, if you haven't watched it, I strongly urge you to do this, because 2 laps to go. Lando Norris, the F1 McLaren driver, was winning. However, he did appear to be deliberately taken out. I'll let you decide what you think about this whole big scandal going on at the moment with Simon Pagenaud. However, it wasn't the only car to be taken out. Wowzers. Last couple of laps, at one point it's O'Ward, Askew, Ericsson, but then O'Ward clipped the rear of Ericsson, took him out of the race. Then you had Askew, Ferrucci, McLaughlin, but Ferrucci took out Askew, meaning Scott McLaughlin got pole for position to actually win the race. And in second place was Daly, the local lad, moved up 22nd to second. How did he do that? Well, he just avoided all of the carnage. Brilliant race. Definitely go back, and I'll let you decide on all of the hot topics around the internet at the moment. Where should we go to next then, Yannic?
Let's go to a race that's perplexingly pretending to not be a race.
Oh, I know what you're talking about here. This is not the Grand Prix, not the GP by Veloce. They're putting on brilliant shows. This week, we had a 2 times 25% race. The second one was a reverse grid, and it was happening at the German Grand Prix. And it was in the front, 1 and 2. It was Bolukbasi and Charles Leclerc going head-to-head and back and forth. Now, if you haven't seen the episode with Bolukbasi, make sure, not now, but you go back and watch it on Nitro Nights. Brilliant guy, and this is what he can do in the sim world, beating Charles Leclerc to that first spot. Also racing was Pietro Fittipaldi, Nicholas Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi, Archie Hamilton, even Thibaut Courtois. Although my computer does a typo, it says this Courtois, and I say yes, Thibaut Courtois. Anyway, rubbish joke, but let's move on. Interesting enough, in the second race, what happened was TRL Limitless got the win over Charles Leclerc because Charles was handed a penalty. I tell you what, there's so many races this weekend where there was loads of penalties. Yannic, is it okay if I mention about the F1 Virtual Grand Prix now?
Yes, Tom, you can talk about your second job.
Perfect. Yes, my second job. A very exciting race. Should have been taking place on the Circuit de Zandvoort in the Netherlands, but that is not on the F1 2019 game. It will be on the 2020 game, which comes out in July. So instead, we went to the Brazilian Grand Prix in Interlagos. We did an F2 race. We also had the Pro Exhibition, and then we had this wheel-to-wheel racing between the big guys, Alex Albon and Charles Leclerc. George Russell was way back in third, and it was pass, repass, back and forth. Eventually, again, Charles Leclerc picked up a penalty and ended up back in third. So, first place, Alex Albon, second, George Russell, third, Charles Leclerc. Also racing that day was the Battle of the Cricketers. Ben Stokes was taking on Stuart Broad, and we also had the AC Milan centre-back and Italian international Alessio Romagnoli taking part in his debut race. There we go. Thanks for letting me mention that, Yannic. Any other open wheel racing for us?
There is actually more open wheel racing, not in the traditional sense, but is, let's say, the common man's open wheeler. And it is, of course, lawnmowers.
Wow. Now, if you'd have said this to me about 2 weeks ago, I'd have said, you have gone crazy, Yannic. However, I've watched this. It is brilliant. Lots of fun and laughter and enjoyment you can hear from Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and Alex Albon. Brilliant moment. We're seeing the race here. George Russell deliberately takes out Alex Albon and he shouts, George, please. A lot of laughter, a lot of fun in this lawnmower action taking place at Silverstone.
I was 1 second off of my lap. He cuts the chicane and then just parks it. I'm
That was totally worth it. That was...
So there you go. A lot of fun with those guys, but not really the competitive racing, but it was definitely very entertaining. Is that enough for four wheels for the time being, Yannic?
That is enough for 4 wheels. We'll move on to 2 wheels. They're similar in size to lawnmowers, but a lot quicker. MotoGP.
Yeah, a lot quicker. Yeah, this is the MotoGP 2020 Red Bull Virtual Grand Prix of Spain in the Circuito de Jerez, all to help out 2 wheels for life. So in the Moto 3 race, Gabby Rodriguez won that. Then you had Lorenzo Baldaresi beating Jake Dixon to first place. That was in the Moto 2. Loads of penalties going to the riders in that. And then there was absolute carnage, as you can see here in the MotoGP. Vinales, the eventual winner. And what I loved about the action is you had the drivers all dotted around the screen, which made it very entertaining to watch them throughout the race. Listen, I'm looking forward to the next MotoGP. Okay, then, Yannic, where should we head to next?
Well, it might have the biggest prize purse in sim racing. It also might have the best drivers in sim racing, but it has for sure, and we're certain about that, is the longest name because it's the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup.
Oh yes, we need to talk about that. However, can I be really fussy? Can I be really fussy, Yannic? We haven't spoken about Gran Turismo enough on this show. Could we just talk about? Can I, okay,
of course, I'll give it to you.
Because we had the GT Manufacturer Series and Nations Cup that was taking place. The Nations Cup, the player races for their country. Rick Kevelham from Holland, the Netherlands, winning that race. So congratulations to him. But also in the Manufacturer Series, where they obviously represent the manufacturers, it was the Subaru. Mikail Hizal winning in the Dragon Trail Seaside. And I found out about Mikail, Yannic. He's actually, and I found this out from a reliable source, which is Twitter, he's a mechanical engineer. So I got facts for days, Yannic.
Wow, Tom, that's why we pay you the big bucks.
They're too kind. Listen, there you go. We're seeing Mikail pass the line first there. Looking forward. That was round 3, heading into round 4. So can we go to the longest name in esports right now?
Are you talking about the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup? Of course we can. No problem.
Okay, well, it was a successful start to the season. Wins for Graham Carroll and Sebastian Job. The British duo from the Red Bull Racing Esports squad got those 2 wins. First of all, it was happening at the circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. Carroll crossed the line, finishing in the 15-minute sprint race with Job, good old Sebastian, winning the 30-minute main event. So it was a 1 and 2 for the Red Bull in that main event. Graham Carroll finishing second. Now, last year's champion, Joshua Rogers, claimed a podium spot in the main event. And also, our guest today, Max Beneke, was featuring that. So we'll find out a little bit later on how he did. Well, I don't know about you, Yannic. I think you did a brilliant job of making me look very good there. Did you enjoy it today?
I did. Working with you is always a pleasure, Tom.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to the next episode with you. But right now, stay tuned to watch the interview with Max Beneke. And if you're just watching a news flash, you can also watch it. I strongly advise you to do so. Just click here.